It said recording in progress, so we're good.
We are good to go.
Can you make sure you introduce yourselves as well?
Yes, we can do that. So, hello everyone. Hi friends. I'm Eric Vickery, and I am reaching out to you from Redding, California, way up north near Oregon, where it is a balmy 102 degrees, but as we like to say here, it's a dry heat. So, and luckily I work indoors. So, myself and a couple of my fellow coaches are here today. I've been in dentistry, as some of you know, for 25 years now, and I've just fell in love with helping others achieve their vision, their goals, and running a successful business while patients are getting healthier. It's such a great win-win. So everything we teach and train on and coach on is about finding ways to improve the relationship between the dentist and the patient. That's our claim to fame at All Star Dental Academy. So, and then I've got my lovely team members here. So Shelly and then Jen, introduce yourselves.
I'm Shelly. I am in Michigan, right about here. So up in your guys' Midwestern area. I have been in dentistry for 22 years. Just recently retired from general practice as far as being an office manager, team leader, assistant / front desk girl / hygiene assistant, whatever, wherever, whatever needed to happen to make the days flow kind of gal. And that's been my role for the last 22 years. And I've been coaching for 8 years. And I've known Eric periodically throughout our careers, I would say, and more recently in the last 6 to 12 months have started working more closely with him and have joined All Star full time now. So that is me.
Nice. Awesome. And you're
it is not 110 degrees.
Where are you? Where are you?
Right here.
People in that area know what that means. I don't even know what that means. Yeah, you're there.
Who in that room knows what that means? I'm in Michigan. Yes.
In Michigan. So. All right. And then our Jen's here. Jen, where are you from, Jen? This will be fun.
Hi, everybody. I am from Alaska. And right now I'm in a small little fishing town, Kenai, Alaska, where the infamous Kenai River is. And it's probably about 50 degrees here right now.
Wow.
Cool. Which is why I'm wearing this sweater.
Wow. That is, what a difference, right?
Huge difference. Yeah. And so like Sally, I've been in dentistry for 22 years. I'm still currently working at a practice that does all on four implants. That's all we do. We specialize in that. But I've seen all angles of dentistry as well. Assisting, admin, practice manager, treatment coordinator, all of it. So I'm happy to be here with you guys today.
Yeah, this is great. This is such a treat to have these two with us. So just, I like to toot. I don't like to toot my own horn, but I will toot other people's horns. I guess that's appropriate to say. Yes, in the back.
Sorry, I just wanted to see if really see me.
Yeah, we could see you. Anytime you have questions, raise your hands and blurt it out, yell it out strong. So Shelly and Jen are masters of all the verbal skills we teach. I mean, Jen is a case acceptance, full mouth case acceptance guru. Shelly is a case acceptance guru, insurance freedom niche for her. We all believe in stopping cancellations, which is a topic Dr. Gray and I will talk about, we'll have on the agenda for sure. And so what we want to do today is we want to give you as much value as possible. So I would encourage the short pencils better than a long memory theory. And so take some notes, use your phone if you want. We're going to give you some things that you can go back with your team and use instantly. And so one of the projects that Dr. Gray and I worked on over the last couple of years was insurance independence. And what that means is we get to choose the route of which and how we participate with insurance, to what level. And so just curiosity's sake, how many of you are interested in, hey, and this is not the only thing we do, this is just one thing we do, this is a project we did, but how many of you are interested in just, hey, I want to be less involved with the insurance relationships I have right now? Just by a show of hands, who would like to see a change in that area? Okay. Okay. All right. Vast majority. How many of you are already to a place where you feel insurance free already? Dr. Gray. Okay. That just gives us a feel for the room. This is awesome. Okay. How many of you never raise your hand for any reason whatsoever? Okay. All right. Well, hopefully we have some fun tonight and we get into this. So
They weren't going to raise their hand if they said.
if they don't, they don't raise their hand for any reason. All right. And we're going to record this on your end so that we can get this to people who couldn't attend live, so that, we really value our relationship with Dr. Gray. We are not here to sell you guys anything. We are here to just fully promote our friend, Dr. Jerry Gray, by giving back to his people that refer to him. And his dream was, hey, I want to support my referring dentist to make sure they're getting as much value and taking care of their business as possible. And so I said, I'm in, let's do it. So here we are. All right. So we're going to talk about insurance freedom. Hi, Jen. We're going to talk about insurance freedom, and we're going to talk about what that means. So let's just first of all talk about the history of dentistry and identify the problem. If you were to go hire a marketing company, we love Pain-Free Dental Marketing is one of them. I think, Dr. Gray, you work with them, right? And they were at the program a year ago that when I was there for the one day, and they're good friends of ours. So if you were to hire them and you were to make a deal with them and they said, look, you're only going to pay us if you get a new patient from our marketing, and all that we're going to ask is that you pay us 42% of whatever that patient does for production. What would your response be to that? Does that sound like a good deal?
Well, I don't know. I feel like sometimes a warm body in the chair is better than nothing.
Okay, let's talk about that. That's a great point. Let's talk about it. So when the 42% write-off rate occurs, that's the average PPO write-off rate, 42%. We have a PPO write-off calculator that Shelly puts in your practice, that Jen puts in your practice, and you fill out. This is our fee, $100. This is the insurance fee, $58. We write off 42 for this, right? If you were to do that deal, which we do agree to that deal. It's like saying, all right, your hygienist is she's going to work 10 hours today. She's going to see 10 prophy patients, and she's going to charge $100, and you're going to get paid for 5.5 of them. Now, for 4.5 of them, you have the expenses of 4.5, but you're not going to get paid for them. You're going to pay your hygienist, you're going to pay the dental supplies, you're going to pay the rent, but for 4.5 hours, you get nothing. She works for 10, gets paid for 5.5. Or if we were to fast forward and say, all right, we're going to be out of network with these insurances, you could, in theory, lose 4 of those patients, see 6, and she's on her way, the day's done, and you got paid for 6 and only had the expense of 6. So the warm body theory that you're bringing up is a typical common, it's almost like a common sense thing that says, hey, we just want to have butts and seats, right? Speaking of butts and seats, thank you for joining us. That's perfect timing. That was like I planned it. Okay. So yes, we hear this a lot. Sometimes I think a warm body is better than nothing, because I'd rather have 42% of something than 0% of nothing. However, it's really not nothing. It's actually a negative cost. Not only do you have the loss of the 42%, but now you have the expense of seeing that patient. Am I making sense on that that math? I know it's, yeah. Okay. All right. I see some nods ahead. Okay. So in fact, we work with a couple, different we have a lot of offices that use different marketing companies. One of the marketing companies said to us recently, I'd rather just have a scratch practice, sign up for everything, get all these bodies in, get all this word of mouth going, and then we'll resign from insurance later. That's one way to do it. Okay. Yeah, I think that's how a lot of people do it. I understand that. And so
a lot of startups get started.
That's how a lot of startups get started, Shelly. That's exactly right. Yeah. So I really just want us to understand the history of this, the cost of it, and what happens. So remember your levels, HMO, DMO, way down here. You get paid nothing for their procedures. You're hoping they never show up and you get paid a check. I don't think any of you are in HMO, DMO. Like, there's not a lot of those around. Anybody in an HMO plan signed up? Okay. All right. So set that aside. Then you have PPO level. which is that national average is 42% write-off rate, we're happy for free to give you the PPO write-off calculator, a video I did on how to fill it out, so you can look at each plan and say, what is this plan costing me on average from a percentage? And you can do the math. If it's costing you 8%, that's probably a good deal. How many of you have any PPO plans where you're paying, your cost is 10% or less that you're aware of? Okay, so probably not a good deal then for you. How many of you have had a team member come to you in the last year asking for a raise?
I was gonna say, come on now. I know that's not true.
I mean, even I asked for a raise last year. So everything's going up, and insurance reimbursement. In fact, insurances are raising their premiums and lowering their reimbursements. Are you seeing that? Yeah. Everybody got a letter in California last year that said, hey, just a heads up, this is going to be your new rate. And it was anywhere from a 7% decrease to a 12% decrease after there have been no fee increases on the plan for the last 12 years. So imagine working for somebody where you didn't get a raise for 12 years, and after your 12-year PIN, you got your 12-year PIN, they said, oh, we're going to cut your pay. That's who we're working for. Now, how many of you like to do really, really cheap dentistry that doesn't last a long time? Right? Ooh, that's my favorite. Love it. Yes.
Keeps them coming back for more. The patients just have to keep coming.
That's right. They just keep coming back in for this.
Job security.
Free redos. Free redos.
Or
free
referring
redos.
to each other. You guys have a self-referral program within
I'll
the
fix
room.
that. Yeah, I'll fix that for your last dentist. Yeah. So I don't think you'd be in this room if you didn't care about your business, the type of dentistry you did. I'm pretty safe to say that no one was going to actually raise their hand and being serious in that question. And so what happens is when you're providing top-notch dentistry for middle-of-the-road pricing, it can get really frustrating over time when all of your expenses go up. Your dental supply went up, your rent went up, your employee wages went up, all this went up. And what we're feeling in the last 3 years is a pinch. We're feeling this pinch that's just about to explode. Now, Dr. Jerry Gray, this is your turn. This is your turn to talk. We started a project about 2 years ago, and I would show you the numbers every month for so long, and then finally you came to a decision. And just kind of what brought you to that realization of making that change with your insurance relationship? What was that one thing that's decided, hey, okay, it's time to make a change?
One thing was every month when I was going to talk to you for an hour, and you go, "Are you ready yet?"
That just sounds like pressure. That just sounds like pressure.
That was pressure sales right there.
Yeah.
You know, the fear of what's going to happen if we don't have those extra people in the chair.
Yeah.
You know, the bodies. And it took me a long time to get convinced that, you know, at a certain point, maybe I'd rather not have them in the chair. And if we can do this same collection with less production,
yeah,
well, let's do that.
And you told me, in fact, the Profi analogy that I use is I steal from you, because you were talking with your team or maybe your associate about, hey, we're doing 8 root canals a day, getting paid for 5 or whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not do 6 root canals and get paid for 6 or whatever it was, the math. Yeah. And I think that was the realization of we both went, this makes sense. And in the end, you've now been doing this for, we're almost a year and a half in, right?
About a year and 4 months, I think.
Year and 4 months. Okay. And are you regretting the decision? What do you think?
No, we're not regretting the decision.
Okay. All right.
Regretting that decision?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
At the beginning,
Yeah.
it didn't feel great.
Yeah.
And
Hi, Dr. Z. I didn't even notice that was Dr. Z. Hi, Dr. Z. You guys feel far away from me. Hi, Jamie. All right.
We need to pull all of the tables.
Yeah, we got like right up to the camera. So, all right. So all that to say this, let's do a diagnosis. We're doing diagnosis. It's a concern. We all raised our hand and said, man, this is tough. We recognize this being more and more costly to be in network, but there's a fear involved in saying, should we really do that? And we're all here to tell you there's a smart way to do this, and there's a really dumb way to do this. And By the way, we've never had a coaching client call us up and say, this is what Larry Gazzardo shared with me a while back. He's like, we've never had a client call up and say, hey, I'd like you guys to help us out with signing up with some insurance plans, please. Nobody ever needs help with that part of it. Nobody ever is looking for that. Yes. Yeah.
We're in practice together and he's very different than I am. And part of my being in the network with insurance is to provide people with care that they don't necessarily have access with. So maybe mine's not financial, maybe mine's
passion. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you a question. What insurance plan are you in network with that allows you to do that? Give me a name.
Delta.
Okay. And are you Delta Premier or Delta PPO?
Premier.
Okay, Premier. And so your write-off rate's probably 20, 22%?
But what if that's worth it to me?
That's fine. Yes. Now, let me ask you a question. Is that a feeling or have you looked at the numbers?
I do not look at.
Okay. So that's fine. That's fine. So what I would love to do for you is get you with one of the coaches and say, hey, let's do a call where we just show you what the numbers are. And then you go, I love those numbers. I'm totally fine being in Delta. We have clients that are in Delta all the time. Delta Premier, Delta PPO, not so much. That's a 42% write-off rate. Delta Premier is you're kind of lucky. They don't do those deals anymore. Those ended in 2012, right?
Generally, when we look at the numbers and we put it into perspective of the time in which you are working for free. So at that 40%, how many weeks a year do you work? Generally 48, that gives you 4 weeks off. What's 40% of those 48 weeks?
Oh, 18,
19,
20,
18 or
yeah.
19 additional weeks off that you could have had and had the exact same collections.
Yeah. So she's extrapolating that number.
People a little less
Yeah.
motivation. They're like, okay, maybe I could meet somewhere in the middle and take a little more time off, but not, and still be compassionate because somebody needs to service.
Well, and if they have Delta insurance, it's not like, I thought you were going to say Medicaid or something.
Yeah. Delta's
right?
not. Delta's
Yeah.
not.
So, I mean, those people have jobs and they have benefits. And by the way, if you were out of network with them, the check would just go to them. That's the difference. They still get benefits. That's a different conversation to have. We recommend that if you have different insurances that you're in network with, that Delta is the last one you deal with. And Blue Cross is right before that. And then all the rest first. So are there any others besides Delta that you're in network with?
Not sure.
Okay.
Well, we're trying to get out of network.
Okay. Well,
You're not.
yeah. Put someone in your. Go ahead.
I just have this emotional barrier to these people need treatment, and isn't it our job to take care of people first and foremost?
Yeah, it is. And so let me paint a picture for you. If this is a big if you were writing off 42% and your profit model was, I don't know, 65%, then your profit is now 2%. How many people are you going to be, if all your patients were in that realm, okay, then what's happening is your doors aren't open in 5 years. You're not or you're working for free because you're just independently wealthy. That's fine too. And you're just employing, that's great, right? You're a nonprofit. That's fine too. But here's the opposite side of that. If everybody else outside of the Delta window is paying to keep your doors open, is that fair too? So if a patient, not Delta, can pay for it, but Delta patient can't, that also creates I'm going through the line at the grocery store and Shelly's in front of me and she's got 6 loaves of bread and I've got one, and the person at front goes, okay, that'll be $3. And I go up for my 1 loaf of bread and she goes, okay, that'll be $3. And so our heart is to care for people. That's what I love, that I'm not in teaching people how to sell cars. I love that I don't teach, sales of vacuums. I love that I teach people how to run business for caring for patients. And there's a fair way to do that for you and them. I am by no means saying, go insurance free, everybody drop it all now. There's a smart way to do this if it's right for you. So I would say sit down with the numbers. look at the PPO tracker. Shelly would walk you through that. She would just show you everything that's going on. And then you get to go off and make a decision and have our support if you want it or not, right? What we don't want is somebody to come to this and go, they got the pitchforks and the knives and I'm going to kill the insurance companies. And all right, Eric, thanks. I'm going to go send a letter now. And then you're mad at me because you did it all wrong. You lost all your patients. How many letters? Go ahead,
sorry.
Shelly. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I love your passion and your compassion for your patients.
Yeah.
And I would just say, are you able to give that to the people you really feel are needing it, wanting it, and desiring it? Or are you giving it to the people who just get it for free so they come anyway, or sometimes they no show on you? And I love to be able to show my doctor, you were writing off 30%. Now we're writing off 20%. We stayed with Delta Dental for a while. We got rid of some of the lower ones. Take that 10% that you saved and give it to somebody that you know deserves it, somebody that you feel like within the community. Put it back into your community, whether it's dental care or some other way. Give back 100%. I love that.
Yeah.
Like, I want to come over there and hug you right now because that's just
Yeah.
awesome. But at the same time, you want to have a business too, that you can do that and provide to those people who really, value. So maybe you have a lot of patients who value you. They never no show. They are so sweet. They love every single thing about your practice. If that's the case, more power to you. That's awesome.
So I love what Shelly's saying. And I think the word is what's fair. Do what's fair for your practice and your patients. And you get to figure that out. Now, what I would say is that's fair for me is not an emotion. Fair to me is metrics. I can actually boil it down to numbers and say, this is a fair deal. This is a great deal. So remember, I started out with saying, hey, would you hire a marketing company that said, we want 42% of everything you produce? Now, none of you raised your hands, but hey, we're going to get you. Is that the young Dr. Gray?
Yeah.
Hey. How are you? Little G.
Fine.
It's little G. All right. All right. Good to see you again. Okay. Now, here's what I want to go back to this. Okay. So keep in mind, we're talking about Delta, which is a very difficult one to start with. So I would say this, let's do an evaluation, take our information, use it, just go with it. Okay. Use our tracker, PPO write-off calculator, email Shelly at allstardentalacademy.com and she'll send it to you. She'll send you the link on YouTube on how to fill it out. And you just go look at it and you go, Eric, this is what we're thinking. Come back to Shelly and tell me, and we'll just say, hey, bad decision, good decision. Okay. What I don't want is rash decisions to get out of network. Okay. So there's some rules to follow in this. And then you need to have a vision of it. You need to have something that's comfortable for you, which is exactly what you're saying. Now, let's back up a moment. Let's go back to something other than Delta. So is anybody in network with MetLife? Anybody a PPO provider for MetLife? No? Okay. Nobody? Okay. Congratulations. How about Aetna, Cigna, Humana, Guardian?
Delta's your big one, huh? Blue Cross?
What's that, Dr. Gray?
She said United Concordia.
Okay, United Concordia. Okay. So
Okay, but we took out the United Concordia, MetLife, all those people were selling out to a different company.
yeah, like Zealous or yeah.
Like they're, yeah.
Scale was in my pay scale, and it was just a disaster. So we've been 4 months into getting out of all of it.
Yeah.
Because
That one you have to do all at once. You have to do all of them at once because you can't just drop them. They're under an umbrella. They're recognizing there's a monopoly. It's actually called racketeering. It's illegal in some states. And they're forming a group that makes you feel like you can't get out because you can't get out of some and not all. It's all or nothing, right? And so the fear is, wow, this is a big lump of my practice. So what's amazing about all those insurance companies that we rattled off is 90% of the time when you're at a network with them, they will send you the check. So Jamie, Jennifer, who handles your insurance claims? Jamie.
I do.
Okay. When you bill, we'll just pick some, MetLife, Cigna, Aetna. When you bill them, do you accept assignment of benefits so the check comes back to your practice?
We assign non-assigned. So
Okay.
if
So
they
that
do
check
send us-
goes to the patient. Yeah. So patient pays you the $1,500 and then they get 80% of that if they have room in their maximum. Is that right? Okay. If you wanted to, okay, so GPs are different, right? Special. That's what I get for picking a specialist to ask that question of. That's a beautiful way to do it. So Dr. Little G, in your practice, you could be out of network with MetLife, then maybe you are, and MetLife sends you the check, right? This is news to him.
They don't,
None
they
of
don't,
us know.
they don't, I don't have to do any business stuff.
Okay. So Shelly, let's do it this way. Let's let all of you off the hook. Shelly, in the practice you used to work for, okay, when you were at a network with MetLife, Guardian, Cigna, Humana, United Concordia, United Healthcare, Guardian, GIHA, I mean, Aetna, Emeritus, all of them, right? When you were at a network with them, did they send you the check as benefits to your practice?
Yes, they did.
Okay. So what you were asking the patient for was the copay.
Correct.
Okay. So this is the magic sauce in making this feel, oh my gosh, I could do this. It takes the fear out, because here's what's going to happen. When you're in network with MetLife, and you could literally go, we have a link you could go to where you could go look up your zip code and see what the in-network fee is, reimbursement for MetLife in your area, and what the out-of-network fee is. And you'll see the 42% difference. And it's funny is when you're out of network, they give a range. That's a whole nother conversation. And the frustrations that's there. But here's what happens. You charge $100 for a pro feed to a MetLife patient that's in network. You get paid $58. Patient pays nothing. You're now out of network. You bill MetLife. They send you the check. And guess how much they pay you of that $100 now? $100. They pay you $100. Guess how much the patient pays? If you charge 100 and the insurance company pays you 100, guess how much the patient pays? $0. I know it's tough math.
100 minus 100.
Yes.
We have a lot of doctors in that room.
So here's the point. Now that's not going to happen. I love this. That is not going to happen 100% of the time. It's going to happen 90 to 95% of the time. So what we're saying is you could, in theory, lose 10% of your patients. Okay. So at one point you're writing off 42%, and now you're going to lose 10% of your patients so that the 90% who stay pay 42% more. You'd have to lose 42% of those patients just to break even, which never happens. Why? Because the insurance company's paying you for their 2 free cleanings a year like they always have. Now, if you want to charge $250 for a pro fee, you're going to have a different problem. Because the insurance company's going to have a ceiling. That's where that range is for out of network. They're going to pay you $120 and your patient's going to have a $130 copay. That's not going to work either. So there's a healthy place to be. And I think most of us would be very excited with a 42% raise. I think most of our team members would be happy if we went after that raise, because then we could give to our team members. I have a precious client. She sees all the pastors in town, all of them. They all come to see her. She's just a woman of faith. And guess how much all the pastors pay to come see her?
Nothing.
Nothing. They pay nothing. Right? Amen. Amen. Right? Amen. I don't think that her team. But she gets to choose, like Shelly was saying, she gets to choose who she's giving her courtesies to. So if you have people that you were like, I'm always compassionate about this group, give them 20% off. Give them whatever you want off out of network, but that doesn't mean you have to give them 42% off. You're now in control. You get to choose your fees. You can lower the fee. You can do whatever you want. Now, process. Please do me a favor. If you do the math and it makes sense and it aligns with your vision and you're passionate about it and you go, okay, we got to do this. This is saving our business by doing this. Okay. Then you have to do it right and not wrong. What we never want to see anyone do. What's the number one biggest mistake we never want to see anyone do, Shelly?
Send a letter.
Send a letter. please never, ever, ever send a
to
letter.
the insurance first and immediately.
Oh yeah, hey, just so you know, MetLife, we're getting out of network. They immediately send a letter to your patients going, hey, they're going to be out of network. You shouldn't go there anymore. So if you need to communicate to your patients that you're doing this, but you can't send a letter, what does that mean you have to do? Communication, right? You got to talk to them. You got to talk to them. So Dr. Gray, how many letters I think we had conversations with all your peeps, all your referrals. Hey, this is referral sources to GPs. This is what we're thinking about doing. We want to make sure you guys are good with it. We want to make sure it feels good for you and your patients, all that. Did we ever end up sending a letter like on the back end, maybe afterwards?
After we sent some letters, yes, but we called.
It was after.
And just
After.
Yeah.
After a conversation, probably.
No, you were out in that one.
We talked to office managers, that's who you called, I spoke with.
Yeah, because we.
so all of them were supposed to pass information along, because I couldn't speak to all the doctors.
It couldn't happen, it was probably better that way.
I didn't know about it. Well, it was probably better.
Yeah, just keep sending them. We won't tell anybody. Yeah, listen, I love that we sent a letter afterwards. Yeah. Yeah, and that's okay. And I think that's okay is once the conversations have been had, if you decide in the end that you want to send a letter, that's great. I think there's some things not to say in a letter, and there's some things that you do say. In fact, in our rules, and I think Dr. Gray knows this pretty well, we never tell them what we don't do. We always tell them what we do. And so we came up with a really smart system called the do system. And everybody loves it because it's funny because, oh, he said do, and it just makes it memorable. So Shelly, what's an example of like we're talking to a patient and we never tell them what we don't do anymore? What would an example of that be?
We don't accept your insurance anymore.
Yeah.
Like
We're out of network now. We no longer accept it. We dropped your insurance plan. Hey, in 6 months, just so you know, we'll no longer be in network, but don't worry, we'll take care of it. Like that's not going to get you anywhere. So please never tell your patients what you don't do. Always tell your patients what you are going to do for them. So Shelly, we're going to continue to be your provider. We're going to continue to provide you with a great care that you've been accustomed to. We're going to continue to give you our one-on-one attention. We're not a clinic. We're not running patients through. We're spending time with you. And we found a loophole where we can do that and still process your insurance claims for you electronically and still get paid directly by the insurance company. And all that we're going to ask for you to do, like we always have, is just pay your copay when you're here. Does that sound fair?
Sure.
Okay. We're going to be doing that as an out-of-network provider moving forward, and you have out-of-network benefits. It's going to work beautifully. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Okay. So it doesn't have to be this complicated, scary conversation. We have our doctors have this conversation for 6 months with their patients, and doctors are afraid to initiate that conversation and like, oh, I don't know if I want to have that conversation, and I don't do that in hygiene at the exams, and I got to talk business with them. I just want to talk golf and fishing. And when they come back to the coaches and they tell us how it's going, coaches, Shelly, Jen, what are some things that your dentists tell you after they've been having this conversation?
My biggest one is I am shocked. I hear it every single time. I am shocked at how well these conversations are going, Shelly. I did not expect it.
Yeah.
Like that's my biggest one that I hear.
Same here. And that the patients, they find that that loyalty with the patients and the service that they've provided through the years speaks volumes to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know why, but it always surprised me. I don't know if I'm just doubting the dentist's verbal skills or not, but they come back and they say to me time and time again, I am shocked. The dentist says, I'm shocked at how well received this is. We're helping a husband and wife team in Modesto, California area right now. And I was meeting with Dr. Jeff, the husband. Dr. Jeff's the husband. And he's been a client for 12 years, 14 years or something. And he says to me, he goes, and we're just having the conversation now. So he's been a client for 12 years and we're just now going insurance free. If that tells you anything about his fear of doing this. He says to me, this was 2 weeks ago. My wife was there for some dentistry. And he says, Eric, I'm loving this. The conversations are going so great. I can't believe it. Well, I'm angry at you actually now. Why didn't you tell me to do this 10 years ago? And I whipped my head around, looked at him and goes, I'm just kidding. Do some things need to be in place? Yeah. And in that case, it was the doctor's vision, because what Dr. Jody said was, I really just want to care for my patients. I really want to be there for them. We're a family provider, and I don't want to put them in a financial position where they have to struggle to come to the dentist. And 10 years later, we're still going to do that as an out-of-network provider. And I'm sure Dr. Jody would love to talk to anybody that would want to talk to her about that same sort of vision of, hey, I care for my patients too, and I do it as an out-of-network provider. So it's not for everybody, but if it is something that you're pursuing and want to tackle, there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. Now, what you can expect on the other end. So, we don't need to get specific, Dr. Gray, but positive decision on the other end?
Absolutely. And what you brought up to me, because I never looked at the numbers. It took Eric to look at the numbers and go, oh, do you realize this is happening? I'm like, no, I didn't know any of this. And then he opened my eyes up to the Premier versus PPO scenario. And as a specialist in Minnesota, you only get paid as a PPO provider, even though as Premier, and patients would have Premier coverage, automatic. And I even wrote a letter to the Delta Dental and said, okay, I'll stay with you if you at least do the Premier when they have Premier. They go, no, we are not going to do that. And so, that was part of the eye-opening thing. You nudged. He was always like, hey, if this isn't for you, it's great. But you're a practitioner and a caregiver on one hand, and you're also a business owner. And he's like, well, does this make sense? Especially with, the reimbursements heading in the wrong direction over time. And we just saw this marketing cost go up and up and up. And, in the end, I think it's been a great thing because my eyes were opened as to what was really going on. Because I had to look, somebody had to tell me, I've been doing it for 25 years.
Yeah.
I look at those numbers.
When we looked at your tracker, it was amazing. And I know we got Jennifer and Jamie. Jill's not here. No. Okay. We can blame Jill. We'll throw her under the bus here on some things. No. We give her the reward. So what I saw in the numbers was adjustments went to 0 or pretty darn close to it. And AR went to almost 0. Yep. That was crazy. It was just so good. And so, yeah, we produced less, but the funny thing is we collected more. And we see that all the time.
Eric, I just had a meeting with Ace today. So Ace is going to be the guy that's coming in October. And he's another coach of mine and a doc guy. And he looked at our tracker and he's looking through that thing. He's going, why is your accounts receivable $1,498? I'm like, well, I don't know. Maybe it's wrong. He was checked in the other stuff. And no, it seems right. For over 90 days was 413 or something like that. Yeah. And it's the cleanest they've ever seen. Both Cloud, the Ace, and it just cleans everything up, so you're not chasing after this stuff and spending time all the time as well, trying to go after that, previously earned money.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, and you guys probably won't invite me back. But it's really different being the only 2 endodontists in town, the only 2 oral surgeons in town, when you've got 50 general practitioners in town. It's different for us than it is. You guys have a lot more that you can bring to the table. How many people in this room are general practitioners? Yeah, I just feel like we're
imagine
not that we should be competing against each other.
Yeah,
but we're all fighting for survival right now.
Yeah. So, and I love that you said fighting for survival. Why are you fighting for survival? Why is that?
Well, because COVID hit us really hard. Nobody can hire a hygienist. Nobody can find an assistant. Nobody can find people to work for them. we are all like doing the best. Am I wrong?
No.
If anybody
No.
else wants
And that's everywhere. That's everywhere in the country. Yes.
to provide quality care in the limited capacity we have. I mean, it's a tool. I'm sorry, I don't mean to disrespect you, and you can tell me not to come again. It's totally different when there's 2 endodontists in Rochester, there's 2 oral surgeons in Rochester, and there's like a lot of us. I mean, we have 2 practices, and we're fighting to maintain that. So I understand what you're saying, but I think it's very different. Can anybody else talk? From a general practitioner.
Shelley,
setting.
I'll let Shelley talk for a minute.
What would you like me to say?
I don't know. It looked like you were going to say something, Shelley. I think that this is
I was from
go for
a
it.
standpoint
Yeah.
of I'm come from a small town as well. I mean, there's not, well, Rochester's not a small town. I come from a small town that's flooded with a lot of dentists. And so I can say that it's not for everybody. It absolutely is not for everybody. It's a matter of what does your practice vision look like, and is it the right fit for you? And I understand, I work with, I hope you don't mind me saying, I work with Dr. Vazdev. We've had this conversation, and you guys have a tight group as far as your competition, if you want to call it competition. You're all together in serving the same group of people. And so it's not for everybody. And it might be one insurance company, it might be multiple insurance companies that are causing your business to not be able to thrive. That's different for everybody. And so I appreciate that you're willing to speak, because you're probably saying what's on the mind of others. And it helps us to be able to bring some of these topics to light and say, yeah, you're absolutely right. There is a lot of you. That room is full of general dentists. So
And-
how do you as a community come to a place where it's okay
And
to serve patients differently?
this is so good, because it wouldn't change the fact that you have stress. It might just change the perspective of stress of like, you know, it's not going to change the fact that you need a hygienist.
Absolutely not.
Right. It's not going to change the fact that everybody wants more pay per hour right now, that the dental supplies are going up. But imagine if everybody in your town was on the same boat as far as being an out-of-network provider, right? Obviously, my town, I helped 4 offices this year resign from Delta. And then my clients that I have locally that do take Delta aren't taking any more Delta new patients, because imagine if you had all of your patients paying you less, you wouldn't be able to keep your doors open. So there's a place where the insurance company has to be seen as the bad guy. You can no longer carry the weight that the insurance company is putting on you as an individual, small person, small business. PPO network was built on a hospital system that's built on hundreds of providers, all coming together, banding together to cover the costs, being a group in one location saying, hey, 4 of us are buying a CEREC machine. That's $25,000 each, instead of one of us buying a CEREC machine for $100,000. We can afford to do this. But when you're one provider in your 2,500 square feet, right, trying to put food on the table for your team, and that you're being treated as if you're a conglomerate, you're a corporation, you're an entity, and therefore you're going to do discount pricing because you're able to see so many patients, it won't work. In fact, you're probably robbing Peter to pay Paul. You're probably feeling like you're doing Robin Hood dentistry, where you have some cash pay patients that pay 100% that are carrying the weight of the load with you. That's probably what's happening. I'd have to look at the numbers to see. Some of you might have really good negotiated rates. That could be different. Dr. Gray.
Or we were running into that scenario that he's talking about, being the only practice that did take Delta.
Yeah, you are.
Then we were seeing more and more and more. So that write-off is becoming greater and greater and greater. We're like, well, what is this going to be in the end? It's a fight for the bottom. Because that's part of the problem when you do have just a few. There's only 2 offices, and you're the one that does, as opposed to general dentistry where it's more spread out. and they were all they were getting concentrated. And that's where.
Okay, I understand that, but you're a specialist, and I'm sorry, Adam, you're gonna get mad at me.
Let me just jump in real quick. By the way, we don't typically help specialists get out of network with insurance. Our forte is helping general dentists get out of network with insurance. This just happens to be that Dr. Gray wanted to host a study club for it. So please hear me really clearly. I am not saying all of you should walk out the door right now and get out of insurance. There's analysis and conversation that needs to be had first, by the way. But I want to tell you a story that maybe will help. So we have a client, one of Dr. Gray's friends. He's up in Michigan, and his practice was ballooning with Delta. They were at 63% Delta, and he was premier, and it was in network with nothing else other than that. And so he was writing off, it's a pretty successful practice, but he was writing off $40,000 a month. Okay. So a mere $480,000 a year loss of value. And so we were nervous about this because it's a huge part of his practice, 63%. So we spent 6 or 7 months working with his patients. And in the end, he started producing $20,000 less a month on the other end of it. So he lost about 10% of his patients. I think they were at $200,000 a month, but he's collecting $30,000 more a month, producing less, collecting more. Now that might be $5,000 to $10,000 for you. That might be a less of a drift, but there was a lot of fear going into that. You know why? Because he's the only one in his town going out of network with Delta. But you know why his patients come to him? Not because he's in network with insurance, because they actually like him. They like coming to his practice. They've been coming there for a long time. There's value in who you are as a person, as a provider, that they keep coming back to see you, your hygienist, your team. They feel safe there. Whatever experience they have, that will carry you through a simple financial thing. We go buy things that we see value in, right? For some reason, I think fish tanks they have value to me. I have no idea why. My wife doesn't understand it. My wife buys rugs. To me, those just become dog beds. So I don't know, why we all value different things, but your patients come to you because they value you. That's what you have to rest your hat on, and know that if you have a conversation with them over 6 months, as you have this conversation, you might get to month 5 and go, I don't think this is a good idea. We're not going to do it. That's fine too. I've had a client here locally having the conversation for 3 years, and they just sent their letter to Delta this month because he just didn't feel right. He just didn't feel right. That client in Michigan, just like that client I just mentioned, the reason they were forced to do it is the next little G that comes along cannot be premier, right? They cannot be premier. They have to be PPO. And that was destroying his practice at 63%. He was bringing an associate on going, wait a second, I'm going to be charging premier. He's going to be charging PPO. What is going to happen here? And he realized, before I do that, I've just got to get out so every patient that walks through my doors pays the same rate. And maybe that means you can lower your fee for everybody now, and not just the cash pay patients are carrying the weight. I don't know. You can do whatever you want. Okay.
You've mentioned value a couple of times, and I go back to core values and really assessing what you want your practice to look like and where your non-negotiables are, in if it's quality care, if it's communication, if it's providing to your community, regardless of the financial impact that it has on you, then follow that 100%. Never go against your core value. But ultimately, once you've established those and you know what it is, it makes this decision, whatever decision it might be. Maybe it's to buy a CEREC machine. Maybe it's not to buy a CEREC machine. Maybe it's to hire somebody or not. If they match, it's a go. If they don't, it's a no. And so it's just that, to me, when you lay that groundwork, it makes all decisions so much easier. And I would go to my doctor and he would say, I think it's time for another associate. I'm going to give it a try again. And I said, no. I think you remember how it went the last time. And I sat across the table and you told me, don't let me do that again. So I'm here to ask, what has changed since we had that conversation last time? You said, no, I'm not bringing on an associate ever again. And he's like, nothing has changed except for I'm stressed out right now. I said, then we need to build in a vacation. And you need to come back. You're not making a business decision out of stress today. when you know that your true desire is to wait until your son graduates college. That's why he didn't want to bring somebody on. His son was going into dental school. I'm waiting. Don't hire somebody today because you're stressed today. You know what you ultimately wanted. So you have to continue to go back to that. And it's not for everybody, but that's a freebie. That's for nothing to do with insurance freedom. That's just running your business and being, you know, who you are and what you want to speak for and stand for. So
it's good, Shelley. And the only way you'll know the answer to this is if you actually look at numbers. If you try to just go with feeling, hey, this feels wrong or this feels right, you could be making the wrong decision, whichever way you go. So I would challenge you to at least look at your numbers and figure out, what am I writing off? And we can help you with that. That's, you know, we're happy to get you that information. So Shelley at allstardentalacademy.com. Just give Shelley
nice.
your address. Jen at allstardentalacademy.com. Yeah. Others. Yeah. Other questions.
I need to be quiet.
No,
My husband's a big.
I talk to Shelley like twice a month, so that's why I'm quiet.
She's
I'll
had
see
enough
you
for
on
Shelley.
Friday.
Yeah. What questions do you guys have for me? Suggestions, fears, examples? What are your concerns? What are you thinking?
It's not fear. It's more compassion. Like, what are these patients? Where are they going to go? Who's going to take care of them? I mean, we've been practicing for 23 years.
I'll answer that simply and echo what was just said. They'll come to see you.
I know, but then you have all these other patients from other dental offices that dropped out of insurance. Now they're coming to us.
Okay. And that's a dual problem. One, that they quote dropped out of insurance probably the wrong way and lost patients because they didn't handle it right. And two, it's going to overflow your patient practice base with too many patients getting a discount. Like I said, do you want me to send you 1,000 patients? You pay me 42%. I'm going to send you 1,000 patients. It's a great deal for me. It's a great deal for me. So it's not so much of a great deal for you. So the compassion can be there balanced with your business, but you can't do it without understanding the numbers first. You got to know, maybe you have a ton of patients that are in network. Maybe you have like 5. You got to do the math and figure that part out. So there's trackers that Jen at allstardentalacademy.com will help you with. So we're here to help you with that. So other questions, comments, concerns, anything else, we're happy to navigate this with you.
Eric, I think part of our process in dropping insurance was to also have conversations with patients about different financing options. So a care credit, you know, we're looking at Sunbit right now. So it's not just leaving them stuck, but you're also giving them other things that you can for them that would help them maybe afford things. Because honestly, insurance in our office, you know, maybe they have $1,000 max, maybe it's $1,500. They maybe pay 8%. Well, that took care of the root canal. They're going to return to your office for the crown. They have no money anyway.
Right.
So I mean, you're talking about low ceilings for maximums anyway. So if they're coming to see us and going back to see you for
so great, Jen, that's so great. Jen in Alaska, I want to ask you a question. Because this goes on what Jen in Minnesota is talking about here. So Jen, when a patient comes to you for dentistry and you do a new patient treatment evaluation for them, right? You do a consult treatment coordinator and they tell you they have $1,500 annual maximum. What does that have to do with their treatment plan and insurance? How do you explain that to the patient?
Absolutely nothing, because they've already used most of their insurance on their exam, their hygiene. And so really going back to, and I'm sorry, I don't know her name, but the ones that's been doing a lot of talking in the back of the room, I love your compassion, because that's exactly what happens with me. It's like, I'm not going to be so focused and worried about the $800 they have left. I'm just more focused and worried about the quality and the care and who we are as a practice to take care of the patient. Because it is just like Jen from Minnesota was saying, they're really not going to have much left, even if it is the $1,500. And so it is scary to have this conversation today. But the one takeaway is we're not really saying everybody's going to go insurance free. This is insurance management. Let's look at numbers, let the real numbers talk. It's a numbers game. Let's measure the real money and then make a decision which insurance companies from there, and treat our patients with a high quality care, quality over quantity, that we know what to do. And it all works out in the end because the patients will continue to come see us.
Yeah. Thank you,
Just
Jen.
nailed it.
I'm going to summarize this in a real patient experience. So I had a doctor in Ohio send me a new patient phone call, and his new team member who hadn't been trained yet, just bless her heart, just didn't really know what to say. And he said, we need training on this. He sent me the recording, and the new patient phone call recording was 45 seconds long. So thumbs up if you think the new patient call went well, or thumbs down if you think the new patient call didn't go well. What do you think? 45 seconds long. It's not going to go well. Okay, so you all get it, okay? Here's how the call went. I listened to the call. Now, keep in mind, this office specializes in just what my Jen's talking about, implant-supported dentures. Patient calls up and says, yeah, I was looking at your website. I have 20-year-old dentures. I hate them. They move around everywhere. I'm so tired of them. And I want dentures that are just stuck in place. I have Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I'm just wondering where to go from here. And our untrained team member, new team member said, oh, I'm so sorry. We don't work with them. Okay, thanks. Bye. And that was the 45-second phone call. Now, here's my question for you. What's the dollar amount value of an upper and lower all on 4? What would that value be for our practice? What's the cost the patient pays in that? I don't know. What would that be? Just throw out a dollar amount for me. Upper and lower together combined. Total cost.
60 grand.
Dentures? 40,000.
Yeah,
Upper and lower.
Yeah, 40, I heard 40 to $60,000. Let's say it's $40,000. And what's the annual maximum that Blue Cross Blue Shield would pay?
They won't pay on that because it's not.
Yeah. Even if we could get them to pay the maximum on that $1,500, what does $1,500 have to do with $40,000 worth of treatment? Now, I'm not saying every case that phone rings, it's all that.
Writing on 15.
Yeah, you would count it out. You would go 1, 2, 3, 4. You count $1,500 bills and come in. I mean, it played no role in it, but the mental state of the team member was, oh, I'm sorry, I can't help you, because we first believe that because the insurance situation means we can't take care of this person. I mean, talk about being compassionate for someone. That is someone that we need to help. Now, there's no guarantees that she comes in and goes, oh yeah, I got $40,000, here you go. But there could have been something else that we could have done to help her. What we have to recognize insurance for what insurance is. If your average new patient value is $5,000, what does $1,500 got to do with it? It's just not that much. It shouldn't be a barrier. They're still going to get their $1,500 whether you're in network or out of network. It's what Jen in Minnesota was saying is it's how you manage the other $3,500. How do you figure out how to make that affordable? That's where your compassion can come in. That's where your systems can come into play, like Sunbit or Care Credit or Proceed or whatever it is that you're using. You got to find ways to help patients afford it. My son is 22 years old, and he doesn't smile in pictures anymore. And he has a calcified, injured tooth. And he was home from school. He's down in LA, and I just did what we call an emotional exam. I just had a conversation with him. I said, what's up? What's going on? And you could tell the tears were about to fall. And I was like, I got you. Let's go do this. Let's go. He goes, you would do that for me, Dad? I go, absolutely. I wish I was doing it for myself, but we're going to do it for you. He's having 10 veneers done on August 2nd. Now, he didn't have any money to pay for that. But when somebody really, really wants something, they can find a way to do it. They'll have a family member help them out. They'll have a great dentist help them out. They'll see a bunch of pastors.
Because we all work in the general field. I feel like that's a bad comparison.
I say that again. I couldn't hear you because I missed you. What'd you say?
That's why I don't need to be in the study.
She said it's a bad comparison because we're all in dentistry here.
So we're all gonna.
The point is, if people want something bad enough, they'll find the money to do it.
Yeah, that's the point. And it doesn't have to be dentistry. It could be a car you want. It could be a car. It could be a pair of shoes. It could be whatever. And there's just always a way for someone to figure out how to do something if they've got a job and they're within reason and they got family that care about them, of course. So And I definitely think that you need to be at the study club because we need sounding boards. We need people to keep us sane and not just go, oh, that's a great idea. Let's walk out and do that. We need people in our lives that challenge us for sure. So please hear me on that. Just because of time and recording length and everything, we'll wrap up here. But what I would say is if you're all thinking about doing this, just please do it the right way. You know, we typically recommend that you take on about 25%, maybe 30% of your practice space at a time, no more than that, because there's too much risk in that. And we want you to do it the right way. So you might need phases and plan it out. So there's again, good ways and bad ways to do this. If you don't want to go out and network with insurance, oh my gosh, that is totally your prerogative. And we are not here to tell you what to do. For those that are wanting to do that and you're looking to do that, we just want you to know there is a safe way and a right way to do it. And please come talk to us if you want, talk to Dr. Gray, and we're here for you. Okay? Awesome. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Sorry.
Don't apologize.
You have no apologies needed.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. Dr. Gray. Dr. Gray, thank you so much for having us. It's been a treat, and we'll do this again in 2 months, right? We'll have another topic that we talk about 2 months. I think we're going to talk about how to cancel cancellations or case acceptance or something like that. Okay. If you guys want support, if you're interested in what All-Star does, just go to allstardentalacademy.com. Our leader, Heather Nottingham, would love to talk with you and just hear your story and spend time with you. You can email her, Heather, at allstardentalacademy.com. We just want to support you guys in whatever it is you're passionate about and looking forward doing in your practice. Okay. Jen and Shelly, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your time too. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Take care.